Peace is where you are. Love is where you are. I wanna be where you are. Come on, let's get out of here. Hallelujah. Listen, I know we eat good, but I have to. Lord have mercy. Actually, just put your hands together for this worship team. This praise and worship. My Lord, my Lord. I wasn't ready. I'm trying to get so going. I'm about to run out my seat. All of that. God bless you. Thank you so much for your worship. And thank you so much for your praise. What a great way to open up and get started. Amen? Amen. 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 So at this time, we are going to just kind of do a little bit with Fair Count and ask my team to come and tell us about who we are. So some of you may not even know who Fair Count is. So you will get that introduction. You will also get to hear from our president, Dr. Janine Abrams-McClain, who is here this evening as well. So I'm excited. I want to welcome at this time our senior faith coordinator, Sean Tucker Allen. Would you all put your hands together as she comes? Talk a little bit about who Fair Count is and what we do. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Listen, it's easy to do what I do. Okay. It's easy to do what I do when you work with Teresa. So first and foremost, I wanted to say, let's just give a hand to our sister Teresa. Teresa is to say, she's my co-worker, is in this conversation. She is my sister in this thing, and I love her deeply, and I thank God for her every day. And thank you all so much for coming tonight. Happy Clergy Appreciation Month to everyone out there, every faith leader that has shouldered everything that the world has thrown at you. We thank you, we love you, and we are definitely here for you. So just a little bit about what we do at Fair Count on the faith end. We are, as every part of Fair Count, a nonpartisan organization that works hard every single day to ensure that people live the best life that they can. And so, from our perspective, that means engaging in things that are civic related, things that matter, and oftentimes speaking to people and helping them to understand even when they don't think it matters, it matters. So, again, thank you all for being here. And so, basically, I want to also say that in addition to doing this incredible work with Teresa, which makes my life extremely great, I am so very proud that we have 3 lead faith organizers throughout Georgia. And 2 of them are here with us tonight. These sisters are doing extraordinary work. I am so grateful for them. We have Sister Danita Height. And I'm going to say Danita in her own right is a faith leader. So thank you for all you do, my sister, at Fair Count and outside Fair Count. Danita is in the central area, Meag-gan and everywhere in between. And then we have Sister Heather Bryant, who is our organizer from Southeast Georgia, which we're so proud to have someone representing that area of the state where there are not people traditionally organizing. But Heather is there and doing extraordinary work. The sister is down in Camden County, Kingsland, Georgia. And so again, grateful to have them here. And so what we do is we provide resources for our faith leaders. And I say faith leaders because we at Fair Count work with all levels of faith and certainly all types of faith. We are not here to judge anyone's faith. We are simply here to say that if you believe in something bigger and greater than yourself, then to us that defines you as a person of faith. And we are honored to serve you because that's actually what we do every single day is look to serve you. So whether it's resources on how your faith institution can have information for voting or even coming in and explaining that process to your congregants, we're available for that. But also the census and redistricting and also how it all ties together. Oftentimes we talk very heavily about the voting piece. But those of us doing this work certainly understand that the census really is the bedrock foundation of all of that. So I thank God for Faircount for allowing this faith team to do what we do. Certainly it is a privilege to serve under Janine. And also I just want to take a shout out to say too that our program director Melvin Steps is here. So thank you, Melvin. I'm also going to plug my brother Reggie Abraham over here who leads Black Men Count. Because our brothers count. And so in true Faircount spirit, we certainly support each other. So happy to have them with us here as well. And again, we are here to just, whatever you may need, be it resources, be it toolkits, be it voting literature or any kind of literature, us coming to speak to your churches, speak to at conferences or whatever you may need. We are here for you. So I just wanted to come and lift that up. And I also want to say that the very first day that Faircount opened, I was so humbled to be one of those first few employees. And I'm not saying that to gratify myself. I'm saying that to point to the attention that on day one, our founder, Stacey Abrams, my hero. And also her sister, who's become my hero, Dr. Janine Abrams McLean, who is our president, and our CEO, Rebecca DeHart, knew that this mission could not happen without faith. And so I lift that up again to just show you that it is one thing for Teresa and I to do what we do, Heather, Danita, and all of us to do what we do. But when we have Janine, Rebecca supporting us on day one, saying, we see you, we see faith, we understand that we are blessed beyond measure. And we also recognize that a little bit of that probably comes from the fact that Janine has some super special parents that also understand what this faith is about. So I thank both of them very much for being in the room with us as well and for all that y'all do. Sister Teresa, should I now hand this over to Dr. Janine?
That would be right.
This woman certainly does not need any introduction, but I'm just going to take a second to tell y'all. When I first started working with Janine, I always tell people this. I know she gets sick of me saying it, but it's true. Janine told me to fly, and I opened my wings, and I've been flying ever since. There's a powerful thing when a black woman makes space for another black woman. So I love Janine. I thank her for all she has allowed me to be, and I thank God for everybody in the room. So Dr. Janine Abrams McLean.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Hello. How y'all doing? So y'all eating good, right? Yeah. Good at paying attention. All right. And hello to everyone who is online. We're so happy to have you here. And first of all, happy Clergy Appreciation Month. All right. So let's go back to that. I'm going to, before I get into what I'm going to talk about and what we're here for today, I do want to, Sean already teed them up. Since Sean already teed them up, I do want to recognize my parents. And so when Sean talks about how at Faircount we have from the very beginning had a faith component to our work, that comes not only from understanding the importance of the faith community and the importance of the faith community in communities of color and southern communities and all the communities that we serve, but it also comes from a place of I'm a preacher's kid 2 times over, right? So all those rumors about PKs being bad, they don't apply to me because it got canceled out. One of the factors. So it got canceled out. So I don't want anybody spreading rumors. But I do want to recognize my parents, Reverend Robert Abrams and Reverend Carolyn Abrams, who are both retired pastors, and they are elders in the United Methodist Church. So it's also wonderful to be here in the United Methodist Church. I see my pastor, right over there. And of course, my first lady is also leading our faith and technology program. And I'm going to tell you before, the reason why
opened our office one day, and I was just standing out there, and I see this car pull up in our parking lot. And I was like, who is this? Because, this is our space. We just got it. And the car started pulling out, and I looked, and I said, is that Teresa? And it was. She was trying to find a hairdresser, right? And somehow, she ended up in our parking lot at Faircount. Wow. Then, we ended up doing a vision board party later on, or the following year. And I heard Teresa talk about the work that she did and how she incorporated technology into her work. And so I'm sitting here and we have this new faith technology program, and I'm like, who can I get that knows how to talk to church folks, but also is technically savvy? And they happen to fall like just being in the parking lot. And so I asked Teresa if she would come aboard at Faircount as our faith and technology manager, and it's one of the very best decisions that I think Rebecca and I have ever made. So thank you so much for all that you do. All right, so we are happy to be here again in celebration of the dedication and the dedicated and the tireless work that each and every one of you do as members of clergy. We want to say thank you. We appreciate you. And so now I want you all to give yourselves a round of applause. So the clergy give themselves a round of applause. Grand clergy, spouses of clergy give themselves a round of applause. We all know that we've come this far by faith. We've traversed uncertainty and we've sought stability in our world. We've suffered losses and been upended by challenges throughout the last few years. But as clergy, you have kept us encouraged, reminding us of the faithfulness of God and focus on the blessing of grace that we receive daily. And for this, we are grateful. We know that kingdom building takes dedicated work, and it has been a blessing to work with all of you in partnership through our Faith and Innovation Resources Program, or as we call it, our FAIR program. We've been encouraged by your resilience and the ways in which you use the experience of your congregations through communication management. So one thing we do know, and I can say this from, well, they had each other, but oftentimes pastors and clergy walk alone. All right? And, excuse me. Can somebody bring me a glass of water, please? Oh, all right. All right. So we know that you often walk alone, but we've been encouraged by all of the work that you've done. And we also know that sometimes when you are on that walk alone, especially leading a congregation, that you can sometimes be afraid to express your needs and to ask for help for fear of losing your job or feelings of shame or being scarier than the possibility of fully burning out. And so oftentimes when you are the leader, it's hard to ask for help. But as we always say, what do they say when you get on the plane? Put your mask on first. So I would say self-care is absolutely essential. And it takes courage to take care of yourself. I'm going to read to you a little bit about the stats. So those of you who don't know, so I'm a scientist by training, so I do love the data. So just in case you don't believe me, there was a report from the Western North Carolina Conference of the United Methodist Church, and they shared some sobering statistics. In 2015, 72% of pastors said they felt very satisfied with their job as pastors. However, in late 2022, just 52% of pastors were very satisfied in their jobs. Wow. Now, I wonder what could have happened between then, right? We also know that over 1,500 pastors left the ministry every month last year. Wow. Right? 72% of pastors report working between 55 to 75 hours per week. And I think, now who believes that stat? Because I can tell you, I've seen Pastor Thompson run, I've seen my mom and daddy run, I've seen other pastors that I know running, and so we know that's a fact. We also know that 40% of pastors and 47% of spouses are suffering from burnout, frantic schedules, and and unrealistic expectations. At the end of the day, pastors are people too.
Amen.
Right? And so there are a lot of unrealistic expectations placed upon your shoulders. 70% of pastors don't have close friends. And 45% of pastors say that they have experienced depression to the extent that they needed to take a leave of absence from the ministry. And again, we know clergy and pastors are people too. And then you have not only your own personal issues to deal with, everybody comes to you with their issues. Your members come to you with their issues, and they come with the issues of their mom and them. They come, so you have everybody's issues on top of yours. And so if you don't take time to step back and evaluate what's going on in your life, that's how you get to these high statistics of depression and burnout and unsatisfaction and dissatisfaction with your community, with your job. These statistics are staggering, and it's a trend that no ministry leader can afford to ignore. Pastors' overall well-being has taken a hit. Pastors' confidence in their calling has plummeted. I'm going to say that again. Pastors' confidence in their calling has plummeted. An astonishing 40% of pastors now show a high risk of burnout. So those are sobering statistics. But we didn't bring you here to talk about the issues that we're facing. We come here to give you some solutions. All right. So today we want to take time to honor your gifts, your calling, and your ministry. But we feel equally obligated to set this space aside to talk about real self-care strategies to move forward and walk in your calling as pastors and faith leaders. This is our why, and this is also our thank you for being you, and for you for being here tonight, and for you being open enough to come here and learn some strategies so that you can not only be a better version of yourself, but also a better faith leader. And so tonight we will talk about better ways to sustain pastoral caregivers, ministers, healing professionals, and faith leaders in our community who give so much to us. Because of this, and because we are celebrating Clergy Appreciation Month in October, we brought the help to the room tonight. We didn't bring the help from down the street. We didn't bring the help from around the corner. We brought the help all the way from California. So tonight, I am pleased to welcome my dear friend, Dr. Meag-gan O'Reilly. I'm going to take a step before I tell you her credentials. I want to tell you that I met Dr. Meag-gan, I think in 2020, during the pandemic, as a part of our funder who funds our fair program, Fund 2 Foundation. They hosted an experience or a webinar that was specifically focused on mental health care in young Black women, and this was a part of in partnership with the United Negro College Fund. And so I was on a panel with Dr. Meag-gan, and she had me up here crying in front of all these people, and I was like, I need self here too. It was so wonderful. But it was one of those things where you meet someone and you just can see, even through the miles of fiber and internet and across the country, you can see that somebody is so special and so talented and so smart and so genuine. And I saw that in Dr. Meag-gan, and she has continued to bless my life, to bless Fairtown, and I know everyone around her. So, Dr. Meag-gan O'Reilly is a dynamic advocate for self-care, healing, and creating a life that empowers audiences to act in ways that create more capacity for others by focusing on the interior work of self. She is the CEO and co-founder of Inherent Value Psychology, and she's a lecturer at Stanford University School of Medicine, Wellness Education, Health, and Human Performance. So, big welcome to Dr. Meag-gan. Dr. Meag-gan will be joined tonight by our fair value your leadership, wisdom, and kindness, and we are blessed to have you as our spiritual leaders. So without further adu, welcome to the stage, Dr. Meag-gan O'Reilly and First Lady Teresa Thompson. Here I come to give you my
She can sing to y'all. Y'all know.
She can sing. Listen, y'all need some soprano album, y'all. I'm her manager, so I get y'all set up. We'll get y'all set up. We'll get y'all set up, Pastor. We're just gonna loan Janine out. Hello. No, we can't. Oh, you gotta know what the pastor. Okay, we can't loan Janine out. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you all again for being here. Come join us. I mean, recruitment going on. I mean, we're located at 2067 Columbia Drive. Well, we worship every Sunday at 10 a.m. Oh, it's a pastor, $10. Okay, all right. But tonight, you all, we are here to have a critical conversation. The statistics that we heard are just wow. Dr. Meag-gan and I have been together for the last 3 years hosting these events. During the pandemic, we were virtual, and we had some great times, great conversations. And in this year, hearing those statistics again, Dr. Meag-gan and I said, I think I need to be in the room. So she's here with you all tonight, flew in this morning. We had on a call at 10. Listen, she probably had no sleep, none of that at all. But we are just blessed to have her here with us this evening. So we're going to dive in, Dr. Meag-gan. I think we can move forward with just a little bit of what we're going to be doing tonight. And I'll let her bid you welcome as well. You know what I mean? You might go ahead. Thank you.
I'm so glad to be here. I'm here to be a blessing, but also receive blessing. We're going to be talking about giving and receiving today. And I did get sleep, just for the record. That is part of my self-care practice. So I'm excited to just open up our hearts and receive maybe a different way of being with each other.
Amen. Thank you, Dr. Meag-gan. And you all get to hear that this jewel of this woman, this person, you will get to hear the gems that she will jump. She dropped us on us in the morning. We couldn't even hang up. We went up. Meag, come back. So let's get started with our conversation tonight. I remember talking to a ministry friend of mine one Sunday morning, and he confessed, I don't want to go to church. And I'm the pastor. Ooh, talk about a hit right there. Oh my goodness. I know one of these pastors have ever. That was a ministry friend of mine. Okay? But Dr. Meag-gan, don't tell the secret. Okay, I'm gonna tell. This work is hard and not for the weak. Only for the called. So let's start with this question, Dr. Meag-gan. What is self-care? Can you define self-care for us?
Yes, I can. I love that we're going to start right at the top here. And I like to start with definitions because it gets us all on the same page. Because helpers and healers, we usually leave ourselves out of this definition. So I'm going to give it to you guys 3 different ways in the hopes that one of these ways that I define it land on your heart. Okay? So one way to think about self-care is the practices, the behaviors, and the mindsets that you engage in that help you build a life that you don't want to escape from. What do I mean by that? Well, there's a lot of different ways to escape, right? There's some, I live for the weekend, or I live for the day off, right? Well, y'all said these days Sunday, so living for that day off or the vacation, if we're even taking those, right? And so self-care is, how do I build a life that every day, at least weekly, there's some joy, there's some things that I like, so I don't only have to get those pieces of respite on the day off or way in the future, right? Now about escape. Some of us might like to binge on things, get Netflix or other things. That's not our highest form of self-care. That's what we go to when our capacities are low. Right? So building a life you don't need to escape from is one way to think about it. Another way to think about it is self-care is like hydration instead of thirst. What do you do when you're thirsty? You're frantic, you're looking for water, you guzzle it, you might waste it, right? But hydration is something you do regularly, over time, so when you hit a drought season, which I think we're in one now, you have something to pull from, because you might not have water with you at that moment, right? So hydration instead of thirst. And then lastly, and what I think is most importantly, is self-care is grounded in a sense of self-worth. And this is our sacred significance, and this is the spiritual element of self-care. We protect, affirm, and nurture what we think is valuable. And your definition of love is not complete without yourself. So that's what self-care is. All those things.
Y'all better take notes. Listen, because she's going to drop them gems on y'all. You're going to be like, what she just say? So your friend tell them to take dozen and say, take notes. Online, grab your paper and pencil, because these are gems worth having, I promise you. So just to piggyback on that definition, Dr. Meag-gan, is self-care selfish? Inquiring minds want to know.
This is the number one reason why people have self-care guilt. That's the thing. When you're trying to engage in taking care of yourself, you're thinking, oh, I should be doing this. This isn't done. I should be somewhere else. I'm wasting time. The most productive thing you can do is take care of yourself. Because without you, there's no work. So is self-care selfish? I think a lot of this comes from, we're a part of a collectivist culture, right? And a lot of our upbringing, there's messages about not being selfish. It's we over the me. And that's a good thing. And then we also have a faith with sacrificial love at the center, right? So I think we're hyper-vigilant to being selfish. But let me tell you, I'm not worried about y'all being selfish. I'm worried about y'all being too selfless. Okay? So let's just define selfishness so we know what it looks like. If we don't know what it looks like, we might think we're doing that even though we're not. So being selfish is when you have an excessive overreach on someone else's time, energy, and resources without reciprocity or gratitude. Now that part's important because there will all be points in our lives, has and will be again, you meet everybody, where we lean more than we lift. And that's okay. Right? That's part of our humanity, where we will lean more than we lift. That's going to happen. However, when we can, we're going to pay it forward or pay it back. And we do it with joy and gratitude. When someone's helping you and you can't help them, you're gracious. Selfishness is when you just keep taking and taking without that reciprocity. Okay? So I doubt that anyone is just wholesale selfish. Okay? And the last thing I want to say about that is when you don't take the support and the space to replenish, you're going to run out of what you pour out. So that's why not being selfish by replenishing.
Wow. I mean, okay. Let me just do that real quick. Thank you so much for giving us the definitions and telling us about being selfish or selfless, where we need to stand in that. So now what we want to do, everybody, you have a card in front of you. And if you flip that card over, there's an agenda on the back. There's also some QR codes. And our guests and our audience that is online, you will be able to participate in this interactive question. We're going to have 3 tonight. These interactive questions will just give us kind of a look into what's happening in the room and online with you all that are watching with us. So there are 3 QR codes at the bottom. So you're going to need your cell phones. I was about to say suckle devices. Uh-oh. That's Mamie. Mamie will say something to us. But you will need your cell phone. Online, you'll be able to click a link to answer this interactive question. But this is an anonymous question, so we won't know who responded and what you responded. We're just looking for what the answer is to this first interactive question. So if everybody in the room would flip your card over, grab your cell phone, a cellular device. Online, one of our online hosts is going to drop in the chat the link where you can participate in this discussion with us and answer this question. One of the 3 questions that we're going to answer tonight, and hopefully we can get a consensus of what's going on in the room. And I'm going to let Dr. Meag-gan introduce this question.
All right, number 1. Let me read this. Nearly 2 in 5 pastors have considered quitting full-time ministry, according to a 2021 Barna research study. And 38% indicate that they have considered quitting full-time ministry within the last year. This percentage is up 9 full points. So tonight, we have the opportunity for you to share. And again, this is anonymous. We have no way of knowing who said what. So have you all given real consideration to quitting either full-time ministry within the last year? Good moment. What has that still small voice said?
We're going to give you about 30 seconds to answer that question. Go ahead and scan the QR code to get to the way that you can respond to this question. Online, there should be a link in the chat for you to respond as well. And what we're going to know is sometimes. I know nobody in the room, though. I mean, nobody in the room is answering sometimes because we, But anyway, the answer to the question is yes, no, and sometimes. And we'll give you 30 more seconds to answer that question. And while we're doing that, Dr. Meag-gan, what we're going to do, everybody, is give you the results later on during our time today. But let's move on while you're answering that question, Dr. Meag-gan. Hopefully everybody's had time. Have you had time to answer? Awesome. So, Dr. Meag-gan, this is one of the questions that was submitted to us. And this question says, I am the pastor. How do I say I need help when I'm helping people?
You know what this question reveals to us, just in the question itself, is that we need to redefine help. In this, baked into this question is the perspective that the helpers can't receive help. Or that help is an arrow. I get to you, I get to you, I get to you. Help and support is actually a circle. Yes. Right? We're always passing, giving, and can be receiving, catching, right? And that's by design, because everyone has different gifts and talents to share, right? No one person has it all, right? And it's built that way so that we can receive from each other. So I would say, first off, we really got to normalize receiving support and help. And sometimes that word help has stigma, so maybe we can just throw that word out. I like to say witness. How can we hold each other? How can we uplift each other? How can I get you like you got me? Whatever that helps us land in this faith community of we are here as a body, with no one part being more important and no not necessary, right? So that's the first thing I would say. And then I would say, be specific with your help, which requires a little work, right? Which means you might need to be still enough and tapped into yourself enough to know what help you need. Because I've seen it too many times where we let ourselves get burnt out, and then we're like, I need help, but we don't know what it is, and then people are like, okay, what is it? And we're like, you can't help me, I don't know what it is. And then we think that's a failed attempt, right? We're like, see, I asked for help and I didn't get none last time, so I'm not going to try again. But if we're specific with our help or our ask, we then, other people can know where they can shine their light on us. Right? So that could be, well, I'm not really good at these multi-step processes. I need help with admin. Or I need help ending meetings all the time. Or I need help getting all these materials to another place, or logistics. Or I need help holding what I just held. So when we can put a little more contour to the help, this amorphous help, people will show up. I believe that there's already 3 or 5 people in your corner that want to help you. They just don't know how.
Amen, Kwame. I mean, I don't even know. I can't even respond to you about it. Wow, that's amazing. But I know that question, like you said, you get so burned out, and then it's like, help me. I mean, I can't even tell you how to help me. I've been there and experienced it. Just to go back to our question, thank you, Dr. Megan, for dropping those gems. Hopefully, y'all take notes. Remember, I told you. Just answering this question from in the room and online. 33% said sometimes. 25% said yes. Hold on. Help is on the way. Hold on. Help is on the way. Like the baby says tonight. So help is on the way. To help us navigate through these answers, because 33% said sometimes. 33%. Okay, Dr. Megan. Before we move to this question, are there any questions in the room that we have so far? Anybody have any questions that they want to ask in the room? Let's see. Okay, yes.
So what if you ask for specific help and you don't get it?
So we got a question in the room for our online audience that's viewing with us. What if you ask for them and they don't get it?
Great question, because this has happened and will happen. So how do we respond? So when you ask for specific help and don't get it, I think that everything in our attempts to show up as fully whole is information to us. So you ask for the specific help, didn't get it, and then you're kind of, in your feels about that, or reading or doing it on your own, then when you can, replay that situation. I would look for a couple things. When did you ask for the help? Was it too late for people to actually action on it? How did you ask for the help? And whom did you ask for the help? Right? Sometimes we have to be very honest with who is equipped to help us, and how and when we're asking. With all those things coming into better alignment, and the attempts, the failed attempts, are actually getting you closer to receiving more consistently the help that you want, right? So I know if there's any high achievers in the room, sometimes if we don't stick the landing, well, then we just give up, right? But like I said this morning, it's not how you stick the landing, it's how you run up to the goals, right?
Come on, Dr. Megan.
It's not how you stick the landing, right? It's how you run up to the goal with compassion and courage. And when you're in the air, it's all, physics at that point. But how you ran up, right? So I like to say the success is in the attempt, right? You are worthy and important and deserving of trying to get the community the help that you need. So more than one attempt is necessary, required, and part of the process of honing in. How do I show up? How do I ask? Who do I ask? So keep going.
Thank you.
Somebody bring Dr. Megan $20. We got an offering plate right here. Listen, I'm telling y'all, listen, this is good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you, Dr. Megan. To our online audience, listen, you can drop your questions in the chat. We do have an online host that will take those questions and get them to us here on stage. So please drop your questions in, and we'll come back to you to get any of the questions answered that you have. In the room, please know that we're going to get you all too. This is an interactive kind of thing, but Dr. Megan is dropping those gems. So here's a question that we received, Dr. Megan, that I would love to share with you. I am a bivocational pastor. Where do I find time and balance? And go.
The heavy hitters. Time is the hardest element, right? We are in a hustle household culture, and there's so much need, particularly right now, over the last 3 years and continuing. So while I distill my gems on that, one last thing I want to say about this last question is that you're not in alone. You're in relationship. So you asked for help and didn't get it. The last thing I wanted to say on that is when you're ready, you can give people feedback, right? Especially if you have that emotional currency with somebody. So I can go to Teresa and say, hey, remember that time I asked for this? I feel like you didn't show up for me. How can we do it differently? Right? And I suspect she won't be defensive because of that relationship we have. And then she'll be primed and keen to help me next time. So that's one last piece there. So where do we find time and balance? Okay? Whew. One thing I like to tell people is we can't make a 25th hour in the day. I get upset when people say, just make time. And I'm like, I am my God. I cannot make time out of nothing, right? But we can position and reprioritize our time as best we can. So one way in, one baby step in is look at your peak seasons, right? When is your biggest give during a year or even a quarter? And then plan in your respite right after that big push. If we look at it, sometimes there's peaks and troughs in our work. Right after the peak, plan in strategically some respite, right? You just gave, everyone just saw that, and then now you need to replenish. And hopefully that mitigates some of the self-care guilt that we talked about. So know your flow of work, but also your own personal energetic flow. When do you need replenishment? Some of us might have seasonal affect disorder. I know when it gets dark and cold, I'm not of much use because I'm solar powered. That's why I'm powered, right? So knowing yourself and your own emotional landscape well enough can tip you off onto what balance you need, and then when is the right time to really pause and fill up. I would say that's one place to get started.
Knowing your peaks, knowing your season, okay, and asking, and getting that respite right after you've done the giving. That's amazing. Thank you, Dr. Bailey, for giving us that. Are there any bivocational pastors in the room that would like to share how you handle time and balance? Anybody? Oh, come on, Reverend Bush. I see you on there. I saw your hand, so you're paying out in that picture. Come on, what do you want? Online audience, if there are any bivocational pastors online, if you want to drop in the chat some ways that you handle time and balance, go ahead and do that, and then we'll share.
I was bivocational for 24 years up until about 3 or 4 months ago. And among the things that I did was I had a very highly demanding job that readily required my attention not only during the week but also on the weekends, in addition to working at the church. And there's something about the church, we all pastors, it seems like they all get the same memo to get sick or have other crises all the same week. And they don't seem to get that out of it. I don't sound like I'm being mean or anything, but it seems like they all get that same memo and then ask them, can you just space it out a little bit? They don't get that message or something like that. So what I had to learn how to do for myself is carve out. There were days that I was just not going to be available. And among those days were my Friday nights, even though I did not, my good friend is with me, and they, the argument would always go to travel. But Friday nights were my time to do absolutely nothing. And my idea of rest and relaxation and comfort was to get into the den, turn on the TV on whatever movie that I could find or whatever to get out of it. And then I also learned that every priority or emergency is not necessarily mean an emergency on my part. You can always respond in a different way. It did not require me to be there as quickly as I thought I needed to be there. And so now time taking that into what I'm doing now. I am full-time, and one of the things I learned is the ministry of the text message. And I joked with a friend of mine because, and I'll be finished in 2 seconds. I joked with a friend of mine because I learned, you know how you hear about someone losing a loved one. I learned when you're a preacher and you call to say, I'm sorry about your loss, the next thing you know, you're on program to be at the service. When it's not on your schedule or your time. So I have learned to leave a text message or a voice message, and that way you're less likely to be included. But you're still showing love. Sounds selfish, but that's just what we got to do.
Somebody type in the chat, administer the text message. Come on, y'all. Pastor, say no. Pastor Thompson? Hey. Hey. But there's somebody type in the chat online, the ministry of the text message. Oh my goodness. Thank you very much for that, helping us understand that we can send a text and say we sorry. Because you're doing the scripture and prayer. Oh, sorry. Come on. Listen, I've never, it's never happened to us. Wait, Pastor, you a prophet? Wait. Do you even know who this person is? On the third side, they passed away. We just need a preacher. All right, I'm sorry. They're going, woo, they don't want to see this brother. All right, so we're going to, thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move to our second interactive question. So if you'll grab your symbol device again. Online, you will receive a link for you to participate online as well. We're going to move to our second question, and Dr. Megan is going to give us a little backdrop and give us a question.
Okay. So if you've been in the ministry for very long, you likely have this similar thought, which is your pace is relentless, the needs are unending, and the expectations that we should have the right answer for every question is ever present. And I like to say, don't shit on yourself. It sounds just like it's supposed to. So let's tackle this question again. Our second polling question is, compared to when you first entered pastoral ministry, would you say you feel either just as confident about your calling? No change. Less confident about your calling? More confident about your calling? Or none of these and I'm running far, far away? All are valid? Accept all responses. And again, this is anonymous. Go ahead and cast your vote.
You gotta think about this answer. And online, you all have a few minutes to go ahead and click on the link and be able to answer this question as well. And we will tell you those results coming up soon.
And just as a quick invitation for self-compassion while you're reflecting on this question, a calling can evolve and morph over time, right? And you're not the only variable in your calling, right? The backdrop of the world, a lot of things in your personal life. So allowing your calling to ebb and flow is a gracious thing to do.
Y'all heard Dr. McCall that the ebb and flow. I'm just saying, you heard it, Dr. And he said ebb and flow. I love it, Dr. The call to pastor the flock of God is among one of the greatest callings a person could ever know. What a joy and a privilege. But it is also very hard, as we have heard tonight. This responsibility to feed, lead, develop, and silently carry the burdens of men is very hard. And the pressure on religious leaders has worsened during the pandemic that we just experienced and experiencing still. So Dr. Megan, let's look at this question. Why should I practice self-care?
I get this one a lot. Why should I practice self-care? And I come hard and heavy on this one. And in this that Teresa just said, the silent part really gets me. No one ought to suffer in silence, right? And so we practice self-care because if we do not, our gift gets hollowed out. I see firsthand how a calling can become calloused. Yeah. And so something that's not spoken about enough, but we've created a safety here to talk about, is you can love something and still do it too much. We've all experienced this. You can love something and still get burnt out. And I think no one really tells us that when we go into what we love. But any of us that have been to a buffet know this. When you go by accident time, it's just too much. To use a facetious example. So our calling can get callous. We can actually get what a very complex emotion, which is resentment, right? Which we think is a mixture of anger and bitterness, and we don't often speak about that.
Wow.
And resentment erodes us from the inside out, right? And then we get kind of angry at the work we used to love, and even the people we used to love on, right? And we just don't want that. So self-care buffers us against that. And I really like to say, when people say, well, why? I don't have time, all those things. When I say that my core idea and premise is, if it's good enough to give to someone else, give it to yourself. My life changed, y'all, when I started treating myself like I treat my toddler. Little Maya, right? I let her take naps. I have snacks prepared in advance. I queue up activities that she likes and let her have whatever emotions she's having. And I do that just unabashedly for her. And then I was like, why do I think I can't rest? Why do I feel like I can't have a certain emotion? Why am I doing all the things that happen and other things that happen? But when I started treating myself like I treat her, a lot of things shifted. When we walk in our worth, everything changes. That's it.
Who got the $50, man? We're gonna this just increased a little bit right here. Listen up, man. Wait a minute. Okay, yes. Chaplain Lawrence, yeah, go ahead.
How do we create a safe place in our churches for our ministry gifts to not be afraid to say, I need help? Because a lot of times you know you need help, but you are like, oh my goodness, if anybody knew, are they going to sit me down? Are they going to keep me from working? You know, it's that sort of thing. How do you create that safe place?
Yes. Well, I think what's happened inadvertently is that we leaders in the church have been pedestalized. We're not with the people anymore, with the congregation. And something happens when you get pedestalized. I've seen it too much. It's lonely on that pedestal. It's cold. The air is thin, right? And so we're fearful of falling off that pedestal for some fear of loss of something, right? And so what I like to say is start small with creating this safe space. Start by sharing things that you've already worked through, right? A struggle that you overcame, a testimony, and then kind of egg it up, increase it to some lighter struggles that you're having right now, right? Oh, I can see both. We can all get on board with that. And then, oh, you know what? I'm starting to feel my age. Maybe things that are a little bit more common. And then you'll see, when you're doing that field work, you'll see who resonates, who leans in, who can hold space for you, for those light, smaller lifts. And then you can crank it all the way up to, I'm actually struggling in present tense with this. With those folks that you've seen step up with those smaller lifts. And those are your tribe. Those are your self-care team that can help you hold the heavier things. Give yourself time, be discerning, but start sharing. Start somewhere. And allow people to let you lead. Does that help?
Yes.
That's it.
Any comments from anybody in the room? That paper. I mean, I don't know if I sent you a gym, but you were writing on paper. This is where we were exactly heading to talk about your self-care circle. And you just so eloquently defined that for us and how to start with those little lists. And then see who comes to the rescue in the little lists. Because it is scary to say, hey, I'm the pastor, I'm the leader, I'm the pastor's wife, and I need some help. It is so difficult because it looks like you're failing or you're a failure. But I think if you don't respond or you don't say anything, then you will fail. And there are people there to hold you up. I never knew what kind of circle I had until it just was bubbling up and I had to release it. And so when that release happened, there were people, my circle, who came and affirmed that says, hey, I understand where you are. And in this walk, one of my good friends, Janice Singleton, walked in. As we walked in, I'm sorry, she right here? She right. I'm sorry, Pastor Keith. Come on. We know being married to the shepherd, being married to the pastor, that's a whole different kind of shoes. Here, listen here now. We're gonna need a whole night out of bed, slumber party, something. Help us out, the spouses, Lord have mercy. Print program, singing the choir, usher, you gonna lead this women's ministry. Hello?
And keep a smile on
And you better. Sorry, Pastor, I'm not talking, Pastor. This ain't got nothing to do. This ain't nothing at all. But being able to find that circle, and that's one of the next questions, how do you build the self-care circle? Being able to find those people who run to be able to understand where you are. Because I know, we've said it, but it's a lonely walk. I can't trust every individual in my church to understand the place that I'm in. And when I do open up and share, and then it get misconstrued, and then this circle in the corner whisper, the pastor and the wife ain't together, what done happened? And we all good. It just flows all crazy. So they're building that self circle is so important. And I mean, you can share about that.
I do have a few more thoughts on this circle piece. And I also feel moved to say that if you can't show up whole, which includes your struggles, then your circle isn't really sound.
Come on now.
It's true though, right? I mean, we felt this, right? That if you can't show up whole and authentic, which is messy and wonderful, then your circle isn't sound. It's just a little crescent. It's not all the way circled, because that's when we really feel like we're a whole person, is when people can see us, right? So I do have a few thoughts on this self-care circle, and I call it the 3 A's, okay? So it's easy to remember. When you're building your self-care circle, think about someone you admire. Who in actual community that is doing something that you aspire to. Maybe they're ending service on time, or maybe they have Friday evenings off, or maybe they're doing something that you want to also acquire. Like, that looks good. That looks good on them. It's protecting them, it's replenishing them. I want to know. Go ask them about it, because I assure you, they had a journey in getting there. Yeah. And you can learn and then make it your own. So think about who's my self-care role model? Who's doing it? Because a lot of us aren't. But if we all start, then we can all pour into each other. That's the first A. Who do you admire? Second A, that's my alarm for my little bit. It's so much now. Thank you. The second A is accountability. Who's going to call you in versus call you out?
Come on now. Come on.
That's a very big difference. Calling you out is usually abrupt, shameful, and sometimes public. You shouldn't do blah, blah, blah. And you don't really heal from that. If anything, you retreat and you're more likely to make a different mistake, because now you're even more brittle. Calling you in is with intention, is with relation, it's with your best interest in mind. And my partner just did this for me the other day. I was on a call and he kind of overheard it. I work from home. And he's like, how did that call go? I was like, pretty good. I'm doing another speaking engagement. He's like, with what time? And he called me in. And I had to go back to that person and say, I don't have it. Because he knows my heart. I'm like, yes, let's. But someone who can hold you accountable and call you in. And then the last A, what is it here? My favorite A, authenticity. Who can you let your hair down with? Who can you take your mask all the way off?
Yes.
And frown and smile? Who can you really be seen by? That person needs to be front row in your self-care circle. Now, you may be thinking, Dr. Megan, I don't have a person in these positions. That's okay. It's not too late. Plant the seeds and keep watering them. They will germinate.
Wow.
I know, right, Sean? Let's just, somebody will come in here. Somebody will come in. Danita, you had something that you wanted to share.
Yes, I was just going to share. I remember several years ago in pastors and leadership. I just was going to say that I remember several years ago being at Pastor and Leadership Conference with Bishop Jakes, and he talked about the two types of people that you need to have in your circle, and they were comrades, people who are against what you are against, constituents, people who are for what you are for, and then confidants, people who are there for you. So if you have those three people in your circle as well, I think that it was a whole, that particular conference was just about self-care. What happens to the sheep, I believe, when the shepherd is able. And so he talks extensively about having that circle, and not corner people, but circle people, because corner people are in your corner when things are going well.
Correct.
Circle people are always. So I just wanted to share that. I thought that was just amazing. So those three types of people.
So when you made the comment about your husband calling you in, would you say that as women, we tend to say yes more than men, that we don't have a good boundary in saying no, like men do?
There are some that
So we're all human, and we all have our unique idiosyncrasies, things that we'll fall into easily, but the literature supports that there are some gender differences. And for those of us who identify as women, we live in a society where we feel we have more to lose if we don't say yes. And our gendered socialization is tend and befriend, to take care. And so it's so fused with our identity to give that not giving can actually become an existential threat. Who am I if I'm not in service?
Wow. And so carving space out for yourself really can start to tear you asunder if you don't understand and really come from that core place of this is for my work. I can give and I can pause. And actually, in order to give, I must pause. Right? I must backfill. So I do think women have a harder time, but our men do too, in a different way. Maybe more on the emotional pieces. Some things that I see is that sometimes women can have a cry sesh or show up with their gals, and men might not have that same space to show up emotionally, even if they might have better boundaries tactily over time. So we all have our spots, and we need to know what those are and approach them, not avoid them.
What's the about? We up to 1,000. Listen. Who got the check? Somebody better write that out because this right here, you can't pay for it now. I'm telling y'all, you can't. Listen. Dr. Meag-gan. Oh my God. Everybody get your power so long because she feel my cup is just glowing like somebody put my cup up. Oh my goodness. Wow, never receive. Thank you for that question, thinking about us, but also men, also our men as well. Are there any other questions? Let me check and see if there's anything online. Oh, and I need to get the results. I'm so in. I forgot about the results from the last, our last question, which was, that's on the screen now. 50% there, people said they were more confident. 42% said they are just as confident. And then 8% said they were less confident. They were less confident. So in the room, everybody, you can kind of see, and even online, our online audience, you can kind of see that there are some people that are wavering or in the boat, one foot in, one foot out, don't know where, what to do, kind of thing. And if that's you, you're not alone. There are other people in the circle with you, because 8% said they were less confident. That's more than just one individual. So hopefully tonight you are grabbing at and getting some good opportunities or good things that can help you continue in this journey that you're on, because the calling is going to be there. It's not going anywhere, I promise it's not. It's not. Are there any other questions in the room? I don't see anything online at this time. Anybody have anything? Yes.
I just want to make a comment. I don't think people realize that we're on call 24 hours. There was a statistic given to us at the beginning of this program. So many of us work 55 to 60 hours per week. Well, it's more than that. Emotional. Because we can be called at 2 a.m. in the morning. Just on last week, I was called out early in the morning to go to the hospital where a young lady had lost her baby. And she asked me to baptize the child. I'd already planned my day, but I stopped when I did that. And all of us here have those type of experiences. So we work 24 hours a day, unless we take vacation or a day.
You see a call on vacation. I mean, not that happened to me, but
Right. I just want to add that.
wow. Thank you, thank you so much for sharing that, because that is so true. And one of the articles that I was reading, it was saying that we have to show up at the best of times and in the worst of times. That we have to be there. And you have to take stock of your emotional change or what you have in you to be able to show up. Because there are times that you are called, and it is so hard to be in the room with the grief and the suffering that's happening to the family or whoever is what's happening. I can only imagine. I don't think we've ever got a call to come baptize a baby that's passed away. That would be very hard for me. I don't think. Just leave me in call. I won't be able to do that part. But I would love to be able, Pastor, I see your hand. Pastor. Come on now. But I would love to be able to hear some wisdom from Reverend Abrams, who are retired elders. So y'all, I'm gonna come to y'all in a minute. I know y'all got something to say. But Pastor Thompson, yes sir. Okay, wait. And can y'all give a hand to my tech team, y'all? Listen, when I tell y'all, listen, let me tell y'all, they have to run the drive. I mean, y'all need it though. I've been managing, everybody managing. So y'all call me, they can come show up and set your stuff up for you. Like, get their computer out the car and get the PowerPoint on the screen. I've been stuck there for an hour. Danita was like, hold on, help is on the way. Listen, the tech team, thank y'all so much. I just got to give it up there. But Pastor Thompson, come on now.
Okay, so Dr. Megan, you talked a little bit on that. All right, excuse me. Dr. Megan, you spoke earlier about the fact that we are all in caring professions. Could you talk a little bit about some of the unique stresses and strains that affect people in caring professionals.
Wow. Wow.
Unique stressors and strengths. The first coming to my mind is the weight of witnessing. Right? It is one of our best tools, but also leaves us open to so much vicarious trauma. Right? Like, this is our flock, right? And vicarious trauma, it doesn't have to happen to you for you to feel all of it, right? And so that proximity to the grief, the loss, the uncertainty, all the things, that's number one. When you are holding what you're also trying to heal, that takes a toll. It's a tax, right? And the byproduct of that is you don't have capacity to feel your own feels. Because a lot of times you're attending so much to the others that you might get disconnected from yourself. And that's a danger. Because if you're disconnected from yourself, you don't know what you need. Right? So that's a unique stressor. The other one is a little bit of what we talked about. Because you often are showing up and providing, people start to kind of pigeonhole you into kind of the answer person, right? A lot of walks in life, particularly right now, don't have a clean answer. And I think our culture is heading more to product versus process. We want what the answer is or how to get first or the outcome. We are not outcomes. We are, the nature of our work is not outcome based. It is to be with and be alongside and being part. And that takes a lot of spiritual, cognitive, and emotional resources. Right? And the thing about those resources is that they're unseen. Right? You don't know where my tank is at any given moment. Hence where the mask comes. Right? If I'm on fumes, you might not know if I'm smiling in your face. So when you're on call, who's on call for you? I remember when I was on call, I had someone to call after I did a call, right? So those are the unique stressors, and we got to be honest about what those are so we can answer those taxes. We can have a little investment to cover those takes.
Thank you.
I saw Kelly first, and then Reverend Bush, and then Chapel. This is good, y'all. Good.
I have a question, and I might be taking your question, I don't know. But I would like to know, with that being said, how many pastors are open to or have therapists? Or or some other kind of person that they talk to.
Listen, so we're going to move on to poll question number 3. Thank you, Ellen, for the good lead in. We'll grab your cards and go question number 3 and ask question number 3. This is where we were on our script. Everybody got that. To move to this question, so thank you, Helen, for the lead in. Where we're asking, do you currently use any of the services that are on the screen? You have a life coach, spiritual coach, therapist, spiritual mentor, professional counselor, personal mentor, spiritual advisor, professional. Prefer not to answer on all of them. I know everybody on speed dial. We'll take a moment and give you the opportunity to answer this question online. You should have gotten a link, and you can answer that question as well on the back of your card. If you'll scan the QR code, you'll be able to answer if you are using any of these services here. Thank you, Kelly. That's a great question. I'll let Dr. Meag-gan continue our discussion around because one question we had that came in was what technology tools and resources can be implemented in my quest for self-care wholeness, or just getting my life together. And then started with a great self-care regimen.
What help is out there for me? So as you're answering that question, Dr. Meag-gan, if you want to tackle what kind of technology tools are out there?
This is such a good question because technology in the mental health self-care space is booming. And even though I'm young, I'm an old soul. And so I'm always kind of slow to some of the technologies. So I like to say start where you're already at. Right? One of the best ways to build a new habit is to add that new habit to a practice you already have online. Okay? So if you are doing quiet time, if you're doing any pause or stillness, maybe you can add journaling to that. I'm giving away a journal at my table. It's Tabitha Brown's Seen, Heard, and Loved. It's like a guided journal, so you can kind of start talking to yourself about your feelings. So maybe you could add journaling to that quiet time. Maybe you could add some exercise. Whatever you're needing in your self-care practice, maybe you can add it to something you already have. Then I would say start learning about it, right? We're doing so tonight. You're going to be doing so with your self-care boxes. But a lot of times we need a paradigm shift to invite us into a new way of being. So there's some wonderful podcasts. There are a lot of great TED Talks if you just want a more bite-sized thing about the science and the neuroscience of self-care and self-compassion. The biggest takeaway about the reams of literature on self-compassion is we give it to others and we rob it from ourselves. Ain't that?
That's so good.
So,
5,000. Who's that 5?
so learn about it, bite-sized, on your commute, right? And then I would say start talking about it, right? I like to fold this one into everyone I talk to kind of towards the end of the conversation. What are you doing for yourself this week? Especially my other leaders. What did you do? What did you do last week? What are you doing for you? What has replenished you? What are you looking forward to? Because self-care is not only rest. Self-care is joy. Self-care is engagement. Self-care can be service. And it needs to be that replenishing, anything that lights you up. I like to say the times you lose track of time. Those are your self-care. So follow that feeling. And I would be remiss if I were talking about self-care today without talking about boundaries. So, a boundary is the distance at which you can love yourself and someone else at the same time. A boundary is an invitation. A lot of times we think boundaries are, policing other people. You can't do this, you can't do this. A boundary is actually an invitation. This is how I like to be treated. These are the things I want to receive in relationship with me. And if you want to accept this invitation, let's dance. Let's do this engagement. But if you can't accept this invitation, well, we're going to have a different proximity to each other. And that is okay. You can be gracious and blessed and giving and still have
You take your credit card now.
So this is the last thing I'll say, just to bring an image. Boundaries are like you being the bouncer to your emotional peace. If it's a black tie affair inside, and someone rolls up in overalls, you have to say, go home and change. If you want in. Gotta be the bouncer. And what does the bouncer do? Because they don't squabble with the person, they just say, no, sorry. So boundaries are really essential in self-care.
I like the boundary. I'll back into the other thing. Because a couple of years ago, I had to politely separate and pull back from a dear friend. And it still does not mean that I'm not their friend and that I won't be there necessarily. It's just for my sanity and the things that I go through in the course of the day, I don't have time or energy to engage in foolishness, for lack of a better term. So establishing that and learning that, and I think a lot of times as pastors and leaders, we forget that there is a spiritual gift of no. It's called self-control. And part of that self-control is no. Yeah, so that's one of the things that I learned. And also, I like the idea of the accountability, or I call it prayer partner, but not just a prayer partner, but the accountability partner that's there. And one sitting here, one of the things that he does all the time that really makes me want to choke him is that in the area of self-care. He loves to call me when he's coming from the gym. And one of the things that I have done just to hush him up, I went and I signed up and I joined the gym. And I drive by the gym. And I have actually met him in the parking lot of the gym to go get something to eat or not go to the gym. So on a consistent basis, one of the things that he always seemed to throw in the conversation, and I can say it because of good friends, is when I said, well, you know, I'm stressed out, I'm tired, and all that kind of stuff. He said, you know, I was feeling the same way, but when I came back from the gym, I think that's one of the things, but that's in the area of being authentic and being able to have that friendship.
Can I just say that? Thank you so much for the reminder. I just want to share my story in that I had a life coach, but it was around ministry and growing and leadership. And when she heard all of what I was doing in one day and then the week, she said, you about to do a spiritual renewal, right? I'm like, I am. She said, yes, you are. And so having, her along with two of my other friends who are also clergy colleagues, one in Nashville, one in Alabama, and one here, they all said, good, we're glad somebody has encouraged you to do that. And so after 17 years of ministry, I had never taken a spiritual sabbatical. And she said to me, you must do this. Little did I know, it was more than what I needed, and I really needed it, because the sabbatical started a month after my husband passed unexpectedly. So when I tell you that having the accountability partners, those who encourage you to even exercise, but I have one in Nashville who's always like, okay, you exercise. Then having those people to help you navigate and also to see you. They love you enough to tell you about you, your good, bad, and ugly. But also because I do love you, I can tell you this. And so that is so crucial. I encourage clergy to take spiritual renewal leave if you all have not. You must. You need to. Maybe not that the church is supposed to be after 5 years, every 5 years, but we have not done that at all or done that well. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you so much. Everybody who is commenting and giving us extra in the room, like Megan herself is dropping gems and jewels and diamonds and rubies, pearls. Y'all would grab those. But what we want to do now, because our time is coming to a close this evening. Oh my goodness, I wish I could just pack Dr. Megan up, put it in my pocket, and be like, call her right now, Dr. Megan, hello. This is a 911 kind of deal. But we're coming to a close, and Pastor Singleton and Lady Singleton, I want to offer you all some food. It's over there. Chef J-Bay, I know y'all have joined us, so please, she's over there. Grab something to eat. If anybody else wants anything, make sure. I think we still got some to-go boxes over there that you can grab some food to eat. But what we would like to do now is all of our pastors that are in full-time ministry, full-time, part-time, whatever level of ministry, but you just wave your hand. Our team is going to come and give you a self-care box. We have self-care boxes for our clergy that were curated with Dr. Megan and some additional other curators on this box. We are super excited about this box that we have. We're talking self-care, we're walking self-care, so we want to make sure that you have some of the tools for self-care. Go ahead and pop the box open. Everybody gets one of those cards too, everybody that's there on the front. They get one of those cards as well. But if you are in ministry, you are a pastor, leading a congregation, please just wave your hand and make sure you get a card, because on the back of that card kind of gives you an idea of what's in your box. Go ahead and pop it open. Go ahead and pop it open. front of you a box, and on the back of that card, it gives you information. On the back of it. No, that's the one. On the back, you should say yes, what Anita has. Pastor Jackie needs a card every time. And I'm going to let Dr. Megan talk through a little bit of what you see in your boxes tonight. And we also have, because I walk in this hall as well, a special gift for our spouses. So if your spouse is here, with the spouse raise their hand, we do have a special gift for our spouses. And if your spouse is not here with you tonight, take the gift and take it to your spouse. We do have a special gift for your spouse as well. Awesome. And we have more boxes under the table, everybody, if we need additional boxes. Chaplain and the board, did you walk in the box? Y'all don't wave your hand in there? You don't actually pastor a shepherd flock, but you are in the calling and walking out your calling. So Deaconess Deborah and Chaplain Lawrence, you all need a box. Come on now. See, that's what I'm talking about. Already not even following Dr. Megan's instructions. Jeff, do you need a box, Jeff? Jeff got a box. He knows what to do. Jeff got his. And you get a box, and you get a box, and you get a box. But what I wanted to let you all know that this event is all about you all and making sure that you are taken care of. So I'll let Dr. Megan share what's in those boxes, and then we're going to close out our time.
Thank you. So y'all, self-care, if you're not careful, has been co-opted by capitalism. The corporate message of self-care is you gotta buy this, you gotta go on this trip, you gotta do all these things. That might not even be self-care to you. So we were intentional about this box, and I want you to know what's in it and why what's in it is what's in it, right? So they are items that we did purchase, but with intention. So there's a tea and there's a mug in there, right? Now, not only is tea something very ancestral for a lot of us, when you make this cup of tea, I want you to accompany it with some stillness, maybe silence or your favorite music. And I want you to hold not the mug, but the body of the cup and feel that warmth in your hands and really turn that into a prayerful or meditative moment, right? In the realm of mindfulness, there is steeping in your five senses. So to close your eyes with our most dominant sense is vision, and just feel the warmth and smell the aroma, and give yourself a moment just to tap into your other senses. There's power in the pause. Right? It's very purposeful to say, everything else, wait a second, I'm going to do this for me. You are watching how you treat you. Okay? We also have some soft socks. Okay? A lot of our heat escapes through our head, through our feet, and so something cozy, something tactile is saying, I deserve nice things for the sake of nice things, right? Just for that message of pulling on cozy socks. There's something very childlike and playful about that we can rekindle. Play is another type of self-care, just noting that. So we have a music playlist in there. All the lyrics to the songs on this playlist promote self-care. You can use that QR code there. Sometimes you just want this, this music ministry just to wash over your ears and to really allow yourself to steep in that auditory self-care. We also have a scented candle, right? Flame is all over our faith, right? What it represents, what it calls us to be, the flicker, kindling it, right? And so every time you light this candle, you can turn that into a quiet time moment. And then be blessed by the scent as well, right? We are graced with such wonderful sensory experiences, so to indulge a little bit in those is another way just to savor precious memories. The sense most tied to memory is scent, right? So depending on what scent you have, it might come with a memory, it might come with a joy. We talked about how trauma is vicarious, right? But so is joy. So is joy. Think about how you light up when you see someone you love winning, right?
Wow.
So give yourself just a moment to bring back all the treasure troves of positive memories and build that that pathway in your brain, right? There's worry, but there's also reflection. And then lastly, we have a pad and paper. I don't know if my people in the room where you just have so many notebooks because you love to scribble and make lists. Well, this one is for you to get started in a journaling practice. If you don't have one of these resources yet, you don't have a therapist or a coach, you can begin this conversation with yourself with a very low lift. How am I doing? And then ask yourself, what am I really doing? When you add that really, you start digging deep. Sometimes I like to say psychology is more archaeology. Let's dig into it. Let's find out where this bone was connected, right?
Wow.
So just start with lists. How did I feel today? Did anything hit me that I haven't processed? What was my joy today? There's many different prompts, or you can just pour out onto the page. Okay? Start there, and then you'll find having this inner conversation makes it easier to talk to others. Right? So enjoy these boxes. They were made for you in mind, and really allow yourself to enjoy this.
Give yourself a hand. Listen here now. Thank you, Dr. Meag-gan. Also in your box that we didn't put on the card is a sugar scrub. We did get that. And a lotion for you that was curated as well. And we use African American for the tea. I can't think of the word that I'm trying to say. Sage and spice tea, so there's sugar card in there that tells you how to steep your tea. Everything is in there. Faircount wants to promote, so we always are looking for unique ways to promote other entrepreneurs. So those boxes are for you. After this, somebody say after this.
After this.
When you get home, you're like taking in all of what has happened today. We are hopeful that this box gives you the opportunity to start the process if you're not already there going to the gym. But if you're not already there, this box can help you. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry, girl. Hi. Let me get that right. Yes. Let me get that right. Because I'm trying to get to the track every day. I understand somebody pushing it. On the front of your card, though, is a QR code to connect with Dr. Meag-gan. You all, can we just stand and just shout to the heavens for Dr. Meag-gan? Like, she is absolutely amazing. I told y'all in the beginning what it was going to be like, and now we're at the end, and we're like, Dr. Meag-gan, can you spend the night? Like, you got to fill in the blanket, because we're going to need to wake up about 2 and going to have to go over this again. We're going to need you, so thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you, Dr. Meag-gan. You are just a gift to the body. You have, I know, filled these cups in amazing ways. You all, she's filled those cups. And I will tell you that the design on the front of your cups was created by our digital director, Tanisha. She's online. Hey, Tanisha! She's online. But she designed that mug that you have in your box as well. So just want to shout out all of the people who helped put this together. Sean Tucker Allen designed our playlist, so y'all need some good old go back gospel weeks and their stomping feet and Patty Fly on 2 and 4, come on, rockin'. She created that playlist for us. And if I can shout out somebody else, I would, but I can't. But they're in the room and they help make some stuff too. I'll just say it. So, what I will say, I know you're online. I know in the comments somebody's saying, well, why we can't get no box? Hello, I can't get no box. So, if you will email Faith at Fair, get your pen and pencil out so you get your box. And we'll give away a few. So, if you are online tonight, if you will email Faith at faircount.org, I want my box. We will make sure okay? We will mail you a box. Now go to the email now, don't be playing. faith@faircount.org. And I know our online host, Rachel, who's a part of our team in North Carolina. Thank you, Rachel. She's been holding it down online for us. She's our online host tonight. Rachel, drop in the chat, faith@faircount.org. And we can get you one of these self-care boxes because they are amazing boxes. What I will also tell you is we're going to stay connected. So all of you who registered tonight, Dr. Meag-gan and I are putting together a one-pager. I mean, she spit out 30 pages right there. It's a whole book. But we're going to put together a one-pager for you all, and we're going to share that throughout the year as a reminder for you to continue this self-care journey. No matter where you are, whether you're starting or whether you're, already good and going to the gym every day. I'm just saying, wherever you are in your journey, you have, you have this box that can help you keep going. To our online audience, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are so blessed to have you on with us. Thank you for our few technical hiccups. We got it together. My tech team don't play without me. Tell me y'all, they don't play. They like us supposed to be computers and witnesses. We got it all together. So I just want to congratulate, say thank you to them as well. We are continuing to bless pastors. This week we will continue going and doing different events to bless pastors. I also just want to say to each of you to connect with faircount.org. I've got free software. Listen, y'all have heard me talk about it until I'm blue in the face. I've got free software, okay, that I've given away to churches. And shame on you if you don't get it, okay? Fund 2 Foundation is our funders. You know them because you know Robert Smith. If you don't know Robert Smith, you know the gentleman who paid for the Morehouse students college some years, 2-3 years back. He is our funder. I have free stuff. Y'all get with me. I got some free stuff, okay? Fair Count, the FAIR program is available to help churches. I do want to give time because I called them out for Reverend Abrams to have any comments because the wisdom in them. Reverend Abrams, Reverend Carolyn Abrams has written a book. And so you all should, I know she's going to talk about that, and give a shout out, Reverend Abrams, give a shout out. I want to let them, as they're in the room, share anything they would like to close us out. Okay. The open's outside. Okay, I'm sorry. Real quick.
Well, I'm going to do this. As a pastor, I'm a very easy person to get along with because when I was ordained an elder, it was one line that my ordination said to me, racism and sexism, well, I found it. It was right there in the church. So I spent a lot of time, both my time fighting it. And I didn't make a lot of friends. But I always had my compass on if I can make it home. My best friend was there, my backbone was there. We were married. We've been married 65 years to 20. And there was nothing I could not face or I couldn't get through if I could just make it home to my wife and my 6 kids. So to me, it was nothing like that. And that was my backbone. Other than my faith in God and the strength I got from Him.
Remarks and a challenge for you all. Please stop by the table if you want to find out more information about Fair Count, how to get connected. We are looking for faith institutions to connect with. Our organizing team is here, so definitely if you are a pastor, stop by the table. Danita, wave your hand and see Danita and Sean and Heather. They're both, all three of them are organizing, faith organizers along with Asia. If you want free stuff, I got free stuff. If you want me to come to your church and hold something, call me. This chair right there. Let's pull this thing together. Help is on the way. I'll say that. And tonight we brought in the most amazing help ever. Oh my God. Connect with Dr. Meag-gan. Follow her on Instagram. And I'll let her close us out.
I'm just steeped in so much gratitude. It was amazing to be here in person with all of you. A few knickknacks and then my final word. A sugar scrub. Don't sleep on that sugar scrub. It was amazing to exfoliate. I started my mental health journey and actually working at a domestic violence shelter. And that's a lot of trauma. And so one thing I would do, take a shower when I get home and imagine all the stuff from the day going down the drain. So that's both imagery and tactile stuff. So try that on if that helps. That's one knick-knack. Another knick-knack is there are some really great directories to find really good therapists, Black therapists specifically, right? And so there's BEAM, Black Emotional and Mental Wellness. There's the Black Girl Doctor, Therapy for Black Girls, Therapy for Black Boys and Men, even though that's a catchy title. So check out those directories. And then on my website, come the new year, I'm going to have a free course on how to vet and connect with a therapist. Right? This is the number one question I get the most. How do I find a therapist like you? Not to toot my own horn, toot. But you really do need a good therapist. Someone who sees you, who understands systems of oppression, who understands your walk, and can really help guide you. So there are some questions you can ask, and there's some things you can to energetically feel in that exploratory call. You don't have to set it to anybody, right? So I want to equip the community on how to do that. And so my last word, I guess, will be, out of all the things that you give to others, all that you pass down, all the wisdom and learning, what if wellness could be what you pass down? From our ancestors, we were taught how to survive, right? How to make a way out of no way sometimes. But we will become the ancestors, right? And what if we could pass down thriving, intergenerational well-being, not just wealth, right? So I like to say your wellness can be a ripple, but you have to be the first drop. So take care of yourselves, and I'm always just an email away. Be well, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Meag-gan. We can't say it enough. Thank you so much for taking out time from her beautiful babies, Langston and Maya. She has beautiful babies. And so this is, we hope, can be the start of many more opportunities for us to get together with you, whether in person or even virtually. We will need to lean on you a little more, especially in this season and in this time. And so we're just so grateful for you and the gift that you give and give out and pour out. Thank you. Thank you so much. It just seems so frivolous to say thank you, but thank you. I wish I could offer, that 10,000 that we own right now, 10,000.
Offer me taking care of yourselves.
Amen.
Taking care of yourself. That would be the best.
I love it. Thank you, Dr. Meag-gan. Thank you. I will also just ask if you would, those cards that you have, if you didn't get a chance, please, Kevin has some more. If you would, write a note to a pastor, some kind of encouragement, some kind of prayer for a pastor. We are going to mail these across this state for people who've been to the events. We're going to mail these out. So if you would, write your name and address in the middle of the card and then write a note to a pastor. It doesn't have to be long, but something to encourage them, and you will get something in your box as well. I want to shout out Serenity Services, massage in the back. If you have not gotten to her, go to her, because those hands are anointed. Her story is amazing. You all, the doctor said she had a hole in her head. And look at her now. Look at her now. And so she's amazing. She is a part of the healing of lots of trauma. And she says, massage is for everybody. Serenity is for you. Listen, y'all heard. Y'all heard. And then Chef J. Baby, listen, on the ones and twos. Y'all ain't good. Chef J. Baby don't play. She do meal prep. She do breakfast, brunch, dinner, lunch, late night, snacks, everything. Anything you need, she is available for you. She's on Instagram as Chef J. Baby. But she is amazing, Jordan. Thank you so much. We are honored to have you. I'm sorry, excuse me? That's your baby? Yeah, that's your baby. But she is amazing. Her hands are anointed to prepare a meal for you. She does not just do anything. She takes time and she curates every meal. Listen, they be different every time. And she has 3 beautiful babies, okay? Hayden, Casey, and Peyton. They are the love of her life, I know, and ours. They don't run Meag and Papa, though. They do not run Meag and no, definitely. They do not run Meag and Papa. Again, thank you to everybody who made this happen. From our president to our program director to our staff. They were putting on chair covers and tablecloths and everything just to make sure that this event happened on tonight. So I am grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you so much. I am going to call my sugar. Come on through here. You show up, bro. Come on, baby. Hey, baby, come on. I would love for you to close us out in prayer if you don't mind, Pastor. Y'all give my pastor a hand. Come on now. That's my sugar. Bring it to the coffee. Come on now. Hey, Pastor. Hey. Appreciate you, Pastor.
Again, Dr. Meag-gan, on behalf of us clergy, we thank you for what you poured into us. You did good. You did good. Let's look to the Lord for benediction. God, we thank you. We thank you. Thank you, Lord, for allowing us, like Elijah, to pause by the brook for a moment and to have room service for our hearts, minds, and spirits. Bless us now to leave this place refreshed, revived, and renewed, and ready to serve you afresh. We thank you for Dr. Meag-gan. We thank you for Teresa and for Faircount. We pray that as we leave this place, we would go in your purpose, with your plan, and guided by your power. In the strong name of Jesus the Christ, amen.